Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sights on Sinnoh, episode 45, as we dive into Battle Dimension, episode 22 this week. And I am joined again by Brady. How are you doing?
Hey, doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, glad to have you back. This is a special just solo episode, and I'm very curious about your take on it, actually. But before we get into that, what have you been up to lately? Been playing anything new, anything old?
Unite. I switched from being a Snorlax main into a Wigglytuff main just because of how broken it is. I think I am feeling the nerf on Snorlax a little bit.
Interesting.
Just block was super overpowered, and I do think it needed the nerf, but block was super overpowered, and now people can get out of it a little easier.
I feel like it hasn't changed as someone who plays against Snorlax.
So I used to be able to like pin people up against walls, and they couldn't do anything, but now there's like a half a second or so where they get a little bit of movement. So after
Okay.
like 2 or 3 stuns, they can get out of the wall, or it gives them time to flash, so or eject button. So beforehand, if you had someone pinned, there was like 0 time to hit eject button to get out of it, but now there's a decent amount of time in between the stuns.
I see. Okay.
So it needed it though. It was really broken.
Yeah, I'm also kind of lukewarm on it right now. I think what's going to excite me more is trying out Blastoise.
Yeah,
So
comes
I'll
out tomorrow.
I'll give that a shot. And this episode is all about a special moment between a past and current character.
I remember Ash saw a Beautifly. Oh, you know what? I do remember this part. So this Beautifly flies up to them, and Dawn's like, "It's so beautiful," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's why it's called Beautyfly." And I got so angry.
Hey, just in case you missed it, it's almost the exact same spelling as beautiful, but it's also the introduction to new viewers of what a Beautifly is.
Oh, okay.
Because if you saw it in Hoenn, then you know it, but in Sinnoh, it hasn't really been featured as prominently.
Yeah, I think on a previous episode or two, they may have showed it. The one where they have the greenhouse. I think there was a Beautifly there that helps
Oh,
you
yes.
use Gust, but they never like said anything about it. It was just a Pokemon that was there.
Exactly.
And I feel like maybe there was another point where Beautifly showed up, but again, it was just really quick. It was just a background Pokemon.
And right behind that Beautifly, well, Ash kind of has a moment where he's like, "Hold up, do I know this Beautifly?" Because it lands right on his head,
Yeah.
and they hear someone shouting to them from a boat that's coming right at them, and on it is none other than May. Now, what was your reaction here to seeing this character? And have you seen any of the show with May in it before?
No, I've not watched any of the Hoenn anime. And so when I saw her, I knew who she was.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you and I have talked about her previously, maybe just about contests in general.
Right.
But other than that, I didn't really know her or her character well. But I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this. It's gonna be one of those episodes. But I remember when Gary was on, I really appreciated it. So I'm sure that people that were Hoenn fans, when they saw this, they were like excited to see it. So even though I was just like, well, whatever, it's a character I don't really know or care much about. I'm sure there were much more people who like were excited to see that.
Yeah, just
I
people
think
who have that connection.
yeah, and like the idea of just seeing May and Dawn, like 2 strong female characters that they seem very similar, at least in what they like to do.
Mm.
Maybe not their personalities. I didn't get to see a whole lot of May's personality, but just the idea that they both go for contests was like, oh, okay,
Right.
so they have some similarities there.
Yes, that is the main connection between the two that I think this episode wants to emphasize, which is that they're both coordinators, and Dawn's kind of stepping up into the role of like the new coordinator in some ways, that the show revolves around. And did you catch where she was coming from?
Yeah, they said that she was coming from Johto, so apparently she was doing contests in Johto that don't really exist.
Exactly.
And she was getting her butt kicked there.
Yes. So the last time we saw her in Battle Frontier, she was ending her trip around Kanto with Ash and Brock and her little brother. And she decided to go to Johto, which is the third region that basically no one's at the moment. And to do contests there. So she was already doing non-existent contests in Kanto. So I was like, all right, now time to go to Johto.
Okay. I didn't know that the battle. Oh, wait, this one's Battle Dimension. So
Yes.
the other one, Battle Frontier, that one was in Kanto mainly, or did it kind of jump around?
It was all in Kanto, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a weird distinction from the game, because in the game Battle Frontier was just an emerald at that point, and that was in the Hoenn region as its own little island, but it's still part of Hoenn. And the way that's split up here is that the Battle Frontier is all these seven different facilities placed in different areas around Kanto. And I think this was just so that they could have an excuse to also have May travel around the region and do contests, and just not to keep them like stuck in one like small area between the different facilities.
Okay.
But yeah, now she's explored Hoenn, Kanto, so now it's time to go to Johto, and probably honestly, it was also to promote Fire Red and Leaf Green. I'd guess, because those had just come out as well as games. So like, there's
yeah.
Ruby Sapphire, Fire Red Leaf Green, and then Emerald. And that's actually a cool note. You notice that, well, you wouldn't have noticed this probably, but before she was just wearing her Ruby and Sapphire outfit, which is all red. And now in this version, we see her wearing her Emerald outfit.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I did think that she looked different than what I remember, like pictures of her look like. So that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just like a little detail to update her a bit, which I was like, not. I'm mixed if I like it or not. I think it's cool, but I'm not sure if they totally needed to do it. But here she does present some gifts that she has for our gang, with a Teddy Ursa little statue for Ash, an Ursa ring wood carving similar to the Teddy Ursa for Brock, and a Piplup pendant for Dawn and Piplup.
Was that just like a Piplup head?
Yes.
Because I remember seeing that and I was like, that is super cute, and I need to get that for Pengumon.
It's adorable. Yeah, I think it's like an icon almost for Piplup.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, it's really cute. And honestly, I was like, May, did you just spend all the money on that and then like buy Ash and Brock the side things? Because that seems a lot fancier than these like carving things that she gave them.
I feel like that was like really an awkward situation. Not the gifts, but like either right after or right before. They just like outed Dawn to May, saying like, "Oh yeah, she just lost her last 2 contests in the first round."
Yes, that happens a little bit later, but yeah, I found that kind of weird.
But I was like, "Dang, like how are you gonna just like throw her business out there like that?"
Brock kind of tries to save that moment by saying like she's taking a moment to recharge, but like you could have just said that. You didn't have to say the first part.
Well, but then May goes on to talking about how like it's difficult to win. And in Johto, I think she said she has 3 ribbons.
Yes.
Yeah, and she showed those.
Right. So maybe it does give her a way to connect to Dawn at least in that way.
Because So just using like context clues, she
Yeah.
won. Like she was a winning coordinator in Hoenn, correct?
Yes, she did make it to the Grand Festival, which means she earned all 5 ribbons.
Okay, and then did she win that?
No, I don't even know what place she got, but I think she made it like 1 or 2 rounds past the appeal round.
But that's still like a big deal.
Technically, yes. It's hard. It
Okay.
was hard to tell because that was the first time they ever had contests.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how all that played out, but
Mhm.
it's the way that Don was like really excited to meet May and
Okay.
like
Mhm.
looked up to her in a way of like, oh, you're like a really good coordinator. That that made me think maybe she like was a winning coordinator from the grand
Mm.
whatever
Mhm.
finale. But apparently not.
You would think, yeah. I mean, she did get to the Grand Festival, which in itself is an accomplishment. But like, even here so far in Sinnoh, I would say that she has a lot of respect for other coordinators who only have like 1 or 2 more ribbons than her. So to me, it's kind of in the realm of possibility that even though May hasn't been a champion necessarily, she's still gotten pretty far in in all the in all the times that she's competed. So in Kanto as well, she made it to the Grand Festival, finally beat her rival there. Spoilers, I guess, and then like lost near the top than she was in Hoenn. That does lead me to that question that we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah, apologize if I jumped around. To
No,
me, like that's how it went in my
mhm.
mind. But I think I just kind of cut out some of the stuff that I didn't care too much for.
And that's fair. That is one of my critiques of the episode, which we'll get to. But one of the things I did actually enjoy is that as they're walking up from the port over to this restaurant that May's taking them to, we get this long scene of them just walking up the stairs where we see everyone. But then we get a specific little clip of May walking up these 2 steps, and then Dawn's like boots basically following right behind her. And I took that as like, I wonder if that was a symbolic moment showing that Dawn's following in May's footsteps.
Yeah, I think that was intentional.
Oh, you saw that too? Okay.
I feel like they made it pretty apparent that Dawn
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, May is cool. Like May clearly knows what she's doing
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to contests,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to learn from her," type of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious that she already looked up to her as a role model, even kind of before meeting her, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's why I thought she would have been like a big name contestant.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe Ash and Brock have kind of instilled that admiration in Dawn for her just from talking about her as a former coordinator that they used to travel with.
Yeah, that too. That probably makes sense.
Yeah, so just like some personal connection might be there as well. And this is when she reveals that she's actually been in Sinnoh for 3 days because she first went to Snow Point City. Were you expecting this like explanation for why she had gone there first?
Yes. So I've heard of Snow Point City and I've heard of in quote how bad the mechanics are for evolving Eevee in previous games, end quote.
Hmm.
um
Right, right.
I was aware of this mechanic. And so when they said that, I didn't know that she had an Eevee,
Hmm.
but I was like, "Oh, I know what happens there." Like I know what
Oh,
item can be done there. So when she brought out her Pokemon, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." That was where I was expecting. I don't know if there's other Pokemon that evolve with that stone, but
uh, there is not.
okay, so yeah, it's just Eevee then.
Exactly, yeah, it's like one of the only ways well, in the Gen 4 games, yeah, pretty much the only way to get that Pokemon, and it's very late in the game is probably the biggest critique, is that you have to be in 6 batches to even get there. So, having an Eevee that you want to evolve is into Glaceon is kind of a long haul for Sinnoh specifically. But I do like how they acknowledge like this is where you would go to do this, and even give you a like quick little flashback showing Glaceon touching the rock to evolve.
Yeah. I thought that part was cool. Like the rock was correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it was glowy kind of pink
It
in
does
the
look like that.
white snow cave.
Yeah, like an ice
Um,
cave, I guess.
but yeah, I enjoyed that little picture that they showed of it. I felt like it was a very good visual for
Hmm.
what they were trying to describe.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like very clear and very artistic, even in how they showed it. I'm very curious about how how this rock is gonna look like in the remakes,
Ooh, yeah.
because it doesn't look quite like that in the games. But I would enjoy it more almost if it did. But yeah, that's where she explains that she knew that Eevee can evolve this way. I don't know how she found out, but I was like, all right, yeah, that go for it, girl. Like if you're traveling all the way to Sinnoh from Johto, might as well get some Sinnoh evolutions. Um,
I just like how she was talking about bringing Glaceon back
mhm.
to Johto. I'm like, oh, that's cheating. That's not a Gen 2 Pokemon. You can't do that.
But she's already been to Gen 3. Like,
I know. Well, she probably got rid of all of her other Pokemon like Ash does, right? I mean, that's
well,
like a requirement when you go into a new region. They scan your pockets and make sure you don't have anything that wasn't available there.
in your defense, actually, when she went to Kanto, she did leave her Beautifly and Skitty at home.
Oh,
Which I thought was kind of weird. Because they actually haven't had as much screen time as I thought looking back on it. But that's when she opens up to adding a Squirtle and Eevee to her team when traveling through Kanto.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay, May has a really cool Pokemon. I think we're gonna get to that in a bit, but I'm like always a fan of the selection they give her, especially after Hoenn. But that's where May explains she has her 3 ribbons. Dawn's very impressed by this, and she does a little flashback to 2 of her rivals, Drew and Harley. Drew, who has a Roserade, which is his iconic Pokemon because it was a Roselia back in Battle Frontier and Hoenn. And then Harley, signature is basically character, but Wigglytuff is really his personality if you think about it.
I remember seeing that Wigglytuff picture,
uh-huh.
and it was just like a really quick flash, and then all I could think about was like, Unite. I need to go home and play Unite. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so Brock specifically does tell Dawn that they've actually told May about what she's going through. So they're just kind of, it seems like they're repeating it for exposition's sake, but May at this point already knows what Dawn's situation is. And they're just kind
Yeah.
of saying like, "Oh yeah, we told her."
Told her you're
And
sucking lately. Yeah.
yeah. But May is like more prepared for this, I'm guessing, saying like, "Hey, I also am having a rough time right now. It happens to the best of us."
Yeah, she handled that really well, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't understand this from the
Mhm.
writing point of view.
Mm.
Typically, if so like if you were looking up to somebody and you just met them,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be telling them like all your faults or your flaws or
Mhm.
how you failed in the way that you're trying to be kind of like this person.
Mhm.
Um, that's something that that individual should talk to them about,
Right.
you know. So Dawn should have brought it up with May.
Mhm.
It just kind of it seemed like an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, like don't do it in front of the group at least.
Yeah.
Probably a good place to start there.
It just seems weird. I don't know if like I wonder if they do that in the Japanese translation.
Yeah. That'd be good to cross reference there for sure. But as they're discussing this and saying how like, yeah, I came to join the Wallace Cup to kind of maybe get back on track with her own contest, like confidence and stuff like that. She says, I made reservations at one of the best places around here, the Seven Stars restaurant, which they all walk over to. She says it's the hottest place to eat in all the Sinnoh region, and everyone's just impressed by this massive building that's very fancy. And Team Rocket's out there just being like, "Hey, we're hungry." I guess like that's the motivation for most of this episode.
Yeah, they're broken hungry.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I mean, aren't you always though?
Yeah.
So they walk on in and tell this concierge, as the subtitles say, that they have a reservation for May, and he's like, "Ah, yes, reservation for 4. Please, right this way." And someone barges out, "Come back soon and train some more, but I'm gonna eat here if it's the last thing I do." And the concierge is like, "We'll be waiting for you. Goodbye." And that's when to them, "Oh yeah, you have to battle the owner and win in order to eat his."
Where's the business part? Like, how are you guys making any money? You let people just walk in, battle you, and if you lose, you give them your best food?
You give them a 7-star meal. And
But I did like the idea of this. I'm not sure if this was like something from the games or what, but I know in Sword and Shield they have like the Battle Cafe stuff. And I feel like they had it in Sun and Moon as well. Maybe a different way. I can't remember
so
fully.
yeah, that is actually a great question. What makes you think that this might be in the games? If there's any.
Just because I've seen similar mechanics in
Okay,
the more later games.
got it.
So that plus like seeing this in the anime. Oh my gosh, my dogs. That plus
No,
seeing this in the anime um for Gen 4 made me think maybe it was introduced in Gen 4 and then that was something that they've kind of put into some of the other games later on.
so you would be right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this leads us to our non-official segment. Is it in the game? And
Yeah.
the answer is yes. It's actually a place that's part of a bigger hotel in the Valor Lakefront area. The point of this restaurant is for you to engage in double battles with wealthy customers. So it's a nice place if you want to make money, but it is open only during actual business hours. So if you if you're like coming after 6 or something, the restaurant will be closed, so you have to wait till the next day. But each day it resets the double pairings and who's in there. And you just walk inside the restaurant and talk to one of the 2 people sitting at the table, and they'll get you into a double battle.
So that's just one battle a day.
No, that's multiple. So there can be like up to 7 or 8 pairs that you can battle each day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a fun little place when you're like through the middle of the game and just want to go battle people, make some money, and raise some Pokemon levels. So that's something you have something to look forward to now with regards to the 7 Stars restaurant in the game.
I'm just excited to try the food.
You don't get food actually. That's the one part that.
Well, maybe they change it for
Oh, that's
Brilliant
true.
Diamond and Shining Pearl. Maybe they
I
give you some
would
sort of food.
be thrilled.
Like a cute animation of eating like a meal with your Pokemon after beating a double team.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Yeah. The way like in Sun and Moon where you eat with the kahunas sometimes.
Yeah, or like even in Sword and Shield where the Pokemon's like eating curry,
Mm-hmm.
but you only get to see like one Pokemon. So what if you get to see like 2 or I don't know. That seemed like the whole party would be a lot, but maybe if it was like your front two Pokemon, I think that'd be pretty
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, definitely. And just speaking of food, Team Rocket is on the other side of the restaurant looking in through the window at all this delicious food. Even though they're like aware clearly that if you beat the owners, you can just eat for free. They're like, no, we have to steal it. And I'm like, why?
Well, I mean, let's be real. We've talked about this in the past. They're
Hmm.
not good at battling, and they probably know that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
I think the episode would have been like better
huh?
if we saw Team Rocket trying to battle them and like
Right.
lose or something, and then maybe try to steal it. But we already know that they can't battle well.
Yeah, it does seem though like the logical choice is like have them try and then like steal the food, but they just cut out that step, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity there. But as we cut to what's happening inside the restaurant, we see that the husband or yeah, the businessman who owns the restaurant and his fiance are the ones who like prepare everything here, and they are doing only tag battles to get people into the restaurant. And I really like their appearance because it's spot on the appearance of some of the trainers that you can battle at the Seven Stars restaurant in the game.
Oh, that is really cool. I can
Yeah, I think
appreciate
it's like
that.
lady and gentleman class or something like that. Brock and Ash team up for battle to do this tag battle, and Dawn actually straight up invites May and says, "Hey, like, do you want to be my partner?" It's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So a cute little moment there. Kylie and Roman are the names, and Roman are the names of the couple here who send out Munchlax and Snorlax.
I was kind of surprised by the Snorlax and the Munchlax at
Mm-hmm.
first, but then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, they do food. This makes sense.
I actually didn't even think about it too much, but yeah, that does make sense.
Well, I was just thinking, like,
Mhm.
strategically, okay, I get
Mm.
Snorlax, but why Munchlax? Like, that doesn't really
Mhm.
bring much to the team there. But then I'm like, oh, but they both love to eat, so that makes sense.
That's true. Yeah, I used to think it was more about how Munchlax is considered a bit of a rare Pokemon in the games, so
Hmm.
it might make sense for someone who's very wealthy to have it. Uh, but that's kind of contradicted by the number of Munchlax we've seen already, and also the fact that May has one.
Spoilers. Well, I don't know. That may have been
Yeah.
in Hoenn.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't see any new Pokemon that May has owned. As far as I'm aware. So yeah, but that is a good point. And then we get the like weirdest referee so far, who is named Tuxedo Man in the closed captions.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
He like he gives a very dramatic like battle will begin, and the voice just throws me off every time. Did he stand out to you though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I think for the most part, I don't pay attention to the referees much. Just like get on to the
sure.
battle already. I want to watch them fight.
Here for the action.
Yeah.
Uh, and
And
to,
unfortunately, this action was cut short.
yeah, like the owner specifically says, let's all launch an attack at the exact same time to finish the battle quickly. And I'm like, oh, that's not much of a battle though. But they go ahead and do that with Snorlax using Mega Punch, Pikachu using Volt Tackle, Brock Sudowoodo using Double Edge, and and then Munchlax using Giga Impact. And it is kind of cool seeing them charge at each other, to be fair. Sudowoodo just blasts back the Munchlax, and Pikachu dodges the Mega Punch to hit Snorlax right in the face with a Volt Tackle, knocking them both out. Cold.
Yeah, so for that split second before it showed like the little dazed eyes, I was
Mm.
like, this can't be over that fast, right?
No.
Like there needs to be more. And then it just
Mhm.
you see both of them dazed and knocked out, and just like, wait, what? That's it?
Yeah.
And then you're giving them free food
Uh-huh.
for something that easy?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. How are these people still rich?
They clearly have business in other places that's funding this.
I hope
Um,
so. Maybe they're like recording the battles and like sending that off to research somewhere and getting paid for that. 'Cause
oh.
that's like the only thing that I could try to justify for them.
Or they're implying that everyone has to leave a really fat tip.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we saw like an older, well-dressed couple leave earlier.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, they probably left a good tip, even if they didn't pay. So I don't know. Maybe that's the secret there. It's like you don't have to
Oh,
pay,
yeah, free food so then people tip more than they
and
normally would.
make it very exclusive, so that way people feel more like, aha, like yeah, I can spare to give you double the tip or something.
You know, that actually works on me, which is sad.
Really?
Yeah, like so
Uh-huh.
since I'm like prior military, some places here will give me a military discount, but I
Mm,
don't ever really ask for it.
mhm.
But they just some places will just ask, and I just tell them, "Oh, I'm prior military," and some of them will say, "Oh yeah, you can that works," and then they give me the discount. And every time they do that, when it comes to the tip, I always tip like more than I normally would have because they took price off of the off the bill. Yeah, it's just weird. It's
See that?
psychology, I think.
Yeah. Do you think that's why they also do senior discounts?
Um, I think seniors are just stingy with money, so probably not. I don't know.
Could now I'm very curious. We have to get to the bottom of this. Next episode, deep dive of tip psychology. But Brock is also surprised by this. And he's like, guess they weren't as strong as we thought. Okay.
Yeah, it was strange.
And May is like, oh yeah, that's the Brock and Ash I remember. And she's like, hey Dawn, let's finish our battle with one hit too. Um, and they're about to get started. But Brock and Ash are told, "Oh yeah, you guys can go in," but Ash is like, "Nah, it's all or nothing." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." Ash is putting it out on the line here. He's either very confident or he's just like, "Yeah, we have to eat together," even though he was the one who was hungrier at the beginning.
I think when they just one shot both of those Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, they're pushovers." So like, I can wager my
Hmm.
my meal on this next battle because I know that I'm gonna get that
Yeah,
meal anyway.
that's
I
fair.
don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Like he didn't even comment when that battle ended. It was like, okay, yeah, that's it. And the owner's like, all right, this won't be so easy. Which again is like, you're not really convincing us here, buddy. But they do send out an interesting pair of Drifloon and Girafarig, which immediately enamors May, who's like, oh my god, it's so cute. Since she probably hasn't seen the Drifloon before. Brock
Mhm.
mentions they're an interesting pair, and Dawn brings out her Piplup, which prompts May to bring out her starter Pokemon, Blaziken.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Um, I guess because of how the animes have been set up in the past, I
Mm-hmm.
just expect people not to evolve their starters a lot. So when I saw
Mm.
Blaziken, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely stands out. I feel like people not evolving their starters kind of became a thing after this season. Like starting in Unova moving forward, especially for like Ash, he has 3 starters in Unova and only one of them ever evolves.
Yeah, that's
Blaziken.
it's weird.
I'm like show us the full thing. Like it's cooler to have that in my opinion. But sometimes marketing, I guess, is
Yeah,
why they don't.
gotta keep the cute Pokemon.
Cuteness points above everything else. May's Blaziken, fun fact, evolved in, I believe, the second to last episode of Battle Frontier.
Oh, so you didn't really get to see it much.
No, yeah. Like we saw one battle between her Blaziken and Ash's Sceptile, but that was kind of it for it. So I was like, oh cool, we're gonna see Blaziken do some stuff. Um and I'll get more to that later, but as the battle's about to start, Tuxedo Man is interrupted by a big sound, a bunch of smoke behind them, and a waiter comes out saying, all the food has been stolen! And they rush inside to see what's going on. But May is also on fire, quite literally, saying that nobody steals my food and gets away with it. Which Dawn has a fun comment for.
What did she say?
I think May's turned into a fire type.
Oh, I must have missed that because that's good.
And then she's also like, what happened to our princess? Because she mentioned earlier that May has an unofficial title of the Princess of Hoenn as a coordinator.
Oh, interesting.
Which is again another one of those things where I'm like, I guess she like accrued recognition enough for that title because not a lot of coordinators have a title like that.
It's like two people that color that. And it's Ash and Brock.
Yeah,
It.
exactly. They just made this whole elaborate backstory to impress Dawn. And speaking of elaborate, this whole thing in the restaurant feels like it's supposed to be, but it's really not. Like
Yeah.
they step in, there's a huge hole in the wall at one of the windows. All these tables overturned, cleaned from any food that was on there. And I'm like, so did Team Rocket like bust in, use haze, and then like somehow grab everyone's dishes and just leave?
It's like off their table. Yeah, I don't know. It's so strange.
Hmm. Um, the chef even comes out and says like all our hors d'oeuvres and soup and all that are missing as well, stolen right from under our noses, which makes it sound like it was something sneaky. But I'm like, no, there's no way they like they
Blew a
blew up.
hole in the wall.
Yeah, which is like, all right, but but May. I don't know if I want to give May credit here or not. She sends out Munchlax to help them recover the food using Munchlax's nose. There's a cute moment here between Munchlax and Pikachu being like, "Oh hey, like nice to see you again."
I thought this
Mhm.
scene was good
Mm.
using May's Munchlax, but
Mhm.
she said to the female battler to bring out her Munchlax as well so that they could
Mhm.
like find the food together. But that other Munchlax ends up doing nothing. So it's like,
Yeah.
why even put that in the plot?
Mhm. I think it was to show because Munchlax does pick up on the scent,
Okay.
and then her Munchlax doesn't. The fiance.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the only point of this is that May's Munchlax might have a better sense of smell or might be like better trained.
But I
But
mean, that
that's
doesn't really
hmm,
matter in this context. Like comparing her
hmm,
Munchlax to the other Munchlax
hmm.
for smell in this situation, like didn't help or bring anything to the story. So I felt
Yeah.
like that was very weird.
The biggest stretch I can give that detail is that maybe it shows just that this fiance actually isn't very good at battling. Like to really emphasize the point, that's why they got knocked out in one hit.
That makes sense. maybe the Munchlax and Snorlax are just super weak, and that's how they wanted to portray it. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. It just does feel a bit weird. Like, uh, all right, like it's not the best or most necessary detail in it, but they follow Munchlax, who points out like where it is, and the fiance like compliments May as a trainer, and she's like, "Yeah, thanks. Now leave everything to us. We'll get the lunch back in no time." And okay, Munchlax found the food. Asterisk. He found Team Rocket with a whole table from the restaurant eating the food and a I don't even know what it's called, like a like ice cart on wheels or something that like has the food, or I think maybe it keeps the food warm actually.
I think it's like in TV shows, I'm just
Mhm.
trying to think off the top of my head. In TV shows, they have like fancy restaurants
Mm.
and they like cart food out like that. But this one was like cooled, right?
That's
It was
what I
like
don't know. They never open it.
yeah, it's strange, but well, who knows?
That's supposed to be all the food this restaurant had. Which again, I'm like, I'm not buying this, buddy. Like, they
Yeah,
like,
with how easily you guys lose, you're giving away a lot more food than that every day.
yeah, yeah, and the max occupancy of that restaurant is like way more than what's in there, and also like, is it raw ingredients in there? Is it like actually cooked food? Like, what's in there exactly? We'll never know. We literally never know, but we do know
I do know it's going
that
to keep me up at night.
exactly. Will the food that we see on Team Rocket's plate also keep you up at night? Because I recognize like maybe two things on there, and I don't know if the rest is just like too fancy for me because that's what this restaurant serves, or just like nebulous food that they are eating.
A made up dish that looks appeasing or something. Um, I don't
Mm.
know. I guess I didn't really focus on what the food was. I was just focusing on how fast they were scarfing it down.
Yeah,
They're like, "Oh no, we're caught. We have to eat everything
right.
before it gets taken away from us."
And they pretty much do. I just shared a screenshot of that with you. So some of that food includes was clearly is like a pizza, like two little slices of pizza, some salad, maybe like a Brussels sprout. I think two sushi rolls, noodles, and then a bunch of brightly colored stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Like what some of this stuff is.
Yeah, I'm just like, just at least make it look good. Like, why is pizza on here?
Yeah, those two tiny slices of pizza don't look great.
Yeah. Oh, and okay. James does call that thing an icebox.
Okay.
So I guess that's what it is. But as they round the corner, May's like, "Oh, not them." Which I was like, "Oh, that's great." They scarf down all the food, and everyone's just shocked, especially May. And it looks like Team Rocket has put on immediately like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's like furious, saying that they're like, how dare they eat the food? They immediately lose all the weight also as they go into the motto. So I don't know what happened there, but they spot the ice box and they're like, that's where our gourmet food is, and Team Rocket immediately jumps over there to block it. And May is again on fire.
Where are
Um,
the police in all this?
it was too
Like
soon.
this is ugh. This is a theft that
Uh-huh.
involved blowing up a building and the
Yeah.
police aren't even there. A bunch of kids are.
And it's the most famous restaurant in all of Sinnoh, apparently.
They don't even have security.
I guess not.
I guess it's pretty much stealing from them anyway because you just walk in and use one
Hmm.
quick move and then you win.
the
Unless you're
police
that
are
guy with the Rattata in the very beginning.
the police are like the legal ground is already very iffy here. Let's not get involved. But Dawn's like, hey, what about our tag battle? And like May's like, yeah, we'll do it. So Asherbrock set this one out, which is kind of nice. Glaceon comes out for May, and Dawn sends out Baniri. Glaceon and Baniri just both use Ice Beam at the same time. So I'm like, did May just know Baniri knows Ice Beam, or were they just like, we'll work on it. We'll both use a very similar move or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting though that they both did Ice Beam.
Mhm.
And then I liked what happened right after the Ice Beam
Okay.
where Baniri went up and used Bounce on it.
Right, because Glaceon hits it into the air with Iron Tail.
Iron tailed. Okay, and then but that bounce was really cool because a lot of
Mhm.
the times those normal type moves to me, I'm like, I just don't like how they would be portrayed in the anime because they don't seem that strong compared to literally breathing fire. You know.
Right.
Um, but this was a cool use of it where they like kicked the ice of Team Rocket away and made him blast off that way. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like that they're
It
showing
showed
balance
that
as multiple.
they worked really well together.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair that they like had two moves to use together and it was really in sync.
Hmm.
And as Baneri comes down, she's like, "Hey Pikachu, you like that? Do you like my bounce?"
Yeah.
And May's like, "Oh, you like Pikachu, Baneri?" And Dawn's like, "Yeah, she's a big fan." Which is like, yeah, sure, let's just say that that works.
Hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah, that was a great combination." They come back to the restaurant with the ice box, apparently. And as Ash is ready to eat, the chef is like, "No, we have to actually prepare the food." So I think that explains that the food was not ready in the icebox. Which,
So from my understanding,
mhm.
we might have to go back later and check this, but I thought they said that they needed to make new food,
Yes,
implying it was like too cold, or like the food that was stolen was like cold, or not fresh.
right. I thought it was just raw. Actually, was that?
So
Mm,
no, the way that I interpret it was that what they stole was the meals, but the
okay.
meals were already like cold because it had been so long that they didn't just want to give them those recovered meals. They wanted to be
Okay.
fresh, so they went and prepared new meals. But it very could have well been just the raw ingredients in that as well.
That's true. Yeah, it can definitely be either one.
And then
w-
why, like, if it
mhm.
was full meals that they stole and just that, why was it so important to get those back if you're not going to give those to your customers afterward?
Yeah. So that seems like it might be more that's a raw food or something. If that's
Yeah,
the
maybe a
case,
mix of both.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah, because maybe they obviously have the prepared meals that they stole from the tables,
Mhm.
and then they also like took the extra raw ingredients.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. That's my headcanon now.
Yeah, let's go with that. We cut back to the battle, which again is Drifloon and Girafarig versus Blaziken and Piplup. So they start the battle again. Drifloon uses Constrict, Girafarig using Bite, Blaziken charging in with Blaze Kick, and Dawn's Piplup using Bubble Beam. But it doesn't go as smooth as it did for Ash and Brock, where Blaze Kick misses and Girafarig uses its tail head to bite on Blaziken.
Tailhead.
I don't know what else to call it.
I mean, it is. I just
Mhm.
was. It just sounds so weird.
It does, yeah. And Drifloon is able to spin its little arms around and deflect the bubble beam, which I was like, all right, sure. And while it's distracted by that, it just kidnaps. It literally just kidnaps Piplup.
Isn't that what Drifloom do? Don't they like kidnap
Yeah,
children?
they do. Never to be
Yeah.
seen again.
See you later, Piplup.
Exactly. Blaziken does manage to free itself from the jaws of the tailhead, I guess. And this is where Brock comments about like the contest appeal of this. But I'm like, it wasn't about that the first time. I don't know why you're commenting about it now.
Was this after their super awesome move or before?
Before.
Okay. So it was probably just like setting the viewers up for that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
probably it. But
but
yeah.
like we didn't really get to see them battle
Hmm.
uh, the two contest um, trainers or coordinators. We didn't really get to see them battle beforehand. And in the battle with Team Rocket, you can kind of see their
Mm.
their coordination
Hmm.
without even like trying. So
Okay.
maybe maybe it was just like In our battle, it didn't really matter at all because it was literally one hit. But
Mhm.
this looks more of a back and forth battle. But what they're doing is like really in sync and very um contest like.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels more like a setup to what happens as the battle continues. As Piplup activates its trap card and uses Whirlpool right underneath the Drifloon, which I was like, you had that coming. And as that's happening, it basically just like kidnaps. It's big enough to like swallow both Girafarig and Drifloon and leave them helpless in the air. During which May's like, okay, have Piplup use Bubble Beam one more time. And then she has Blaziken jump over the Drifloon and Girafarig and use Fire Spin, I believe. So now, with a combination of the Bubble Beam and the Fire Spin, they're caught in a flaming water vortex.
Yeah,
Which
that makes sense.
Ash even calls it out. It's like, oh yeah, it's the fusion of fire and water. And Dawn says, I've heard of that before. What incredible power.
So is that like a pledge move type of thing?
It should be. It really should be. But that didn't happen until Gen 5, so they're not referencing that.
Okay.
I wish they were, though. What they're referencing is something that May invented in Battle Frontier.
Oh.
Yeah.
Combination moves or fusion combinations? I don't know.
Yes. She combined her Squirtle's bubble and her Combusken's fire spin to make this water fire fusion.
Okay.
And this was inspired by one of Ash's Battle Frontier challenges, where they did something similar with I think, I can't remember if it was Ash or his opponent, using like a combination of like fire spin and bubble beam as well. And May kind of used it for its contest appeal and its power, which is like visually yes, but physically questionable.
Yes.
It does work. Leaving just these two poor Pokemon devastated, which I'm like, oh man, that was overkill.
It was nice though. I thought the graphics of that were pretty good.
That's true. Yeah, I did enjoy that part. Piplup jumps onto Blaziken's arm, which I think is adorable. And they're like, yeah, that looks really polished. And they're like, yeah, congrats. That we haven't experienced a battle like that before, so really fun that we had that with you guys. The waiter announces that the food's ready. They all go to eat. And then we cut to the nighttime where they're looking over the lake. May pulls out half of a ribbon and asks Ash if she still has this. And he's like, oh yeah. And he pulls out his half. Did you have any clue what they were trying to show there?
To me, it was just kind of like one of those. I'm not sure if you remember this at all, but in the early 90s, there were like these best friend necklaces that were like a heart, but then the heart was like broken in two. And then you would
Oh.
give one to like your best friend, and then
Mm-hmm.
you would put them together and be like, oh, hey, look, we're best friends. So to me, it was kind of like that. It
Yeah.
was just like this recollection, this memory that they had of a duel. Was it like a doubles contest?
So it was you would think, but it was a contest where they battled each other.
Oh, okay. That's cool then.
Yeah, I actually both could work. I actually would not be opposed to it being a double battle as well, like what we saw with Ash and Paul. But here, they were actually battling each other in the penultimate episode of the season, and Ash just decided to join the contest battle and made it to the finals in this unofficial contest, basically. And that's where Combusken evolved into Blaziken. And as they finish the battle, the smoke covers the scoreboard so they can't see who wins. And then the next episode, it's revealed that it was a tie between both of them. So, kind of nice symbolic end to their journey together. But there's only one ribbon And Nurse Joy's like, sorry, we only have one. And Ash is like, hey, do you want to share it? And she's like, yeah. So he has a Sceptile use Leaf Blade to cut the ribbon in half.
Just cut this precious ribbon that hundreds of people have been trying to obtain.
It was an unofficial ribbon. It was past the Grand Festival, so that made it a little more
That's fair.
excusable.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I can totally see that, where it's like, why did you do that? And Dawn brings out her ribbon that her mom gave her, saying it's like her good luck charm as well. She's like, yeah, this half has helped me on my journey through Johto, says May. And Dawn's like, oh yeah, Ash, you're gonna enter the Wallace Cup, right? And that's where he reveals to May, yeah, Wallace recommended I should join in with my Weasel. And May's like, what? You talked to Wallace? And that's the end of the episode.
I feel like it kind of closed up kind of quick. But
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole episode was just really strange.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they could have done the entire episode in the restaurant. And if they really needed to bring Team Rocket into it, they could have done a lot of Team Rocket shenanigans inside of the restaurant.
Yeah, like trying to work there or something.
Anything.
Yeah.
Pretending to be like different people that just won.
Like use them to show me more of the restaurant, not to literally take away from it.
Yeah, and to me, it just took so much time to actually get things done in this episode that not a lot happened. I think we saw some cool moments with May and Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what this Wallace Cup is because I skipped a few episodes to get to where we are. So maybe it was brought up previously, but
Yes.
So I'm assuming that we're going to be seeing more of May and Dawn going forward.
Yeah. So the Wallace Cup is a invention here for the show that is an event hosted by Wallace himself, who is a world famous coordinator. The competition is an international invite, so people from all different regions can come and participate, which is why May is here. But May wasn't really foreshadowed at all. It was kind of a surprise that she came and participated in it. I'm like trying to think if their plan was always to have May in it, but they had to go back and like figure out a way to introduce her into the show again. And that's where we got this episode.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know, with this anime, I'm trying not to be like super critical about the anime in general, but I feel like there's a lot of episodes in this season or just in Gen 4 so far that didn't need to be or were very very fillery and nothing really happened in them. But then there are some episodes that I feel are like definitely worth a watch. So it's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why can't you get a good balance?
Yeah, this one is strange because it should be a major event, but it's kind of downplayed really weirdly, and I wonder if it's because they wanted to hype up what's going to happen next. As we see all these coordinators come together for the Wallace Cup, but like if you're gonna do that, like you can still show off May's Pokemon and like maybe interact with the new ones. Have like her and Dawn like battle or like show combinations together that are done in practice, so like Dawn can pick up some stuff as well and show the differences between these two characters.
Yeah, I agree.
It seemed like a bit of a missed opportunity overall. Which to me hurts because I really like the fact that they did this. That they're like, yeah, let's bring May back for this big like event. But I feel like it was not the strongest episode here, and it evens out for me later on, but by itself, the pacing really makes it suffer.
Yes, I think the pacing was the worst part for sure.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So with that said, I think I'm gonna give this like a 6.5.
Oh, really? That high?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more like a 4.5.
Really? Okay. To me, what brings it up is like this introduction of Glaceon and like at least May trying to make her Pokemon useful with Munchlax. Um, I thought the opening was actually pretty strong, and then after that, it just fluctuated up and down between like average and below average, except for like the Baneri moment. But I thought it was neat how beautiful I like flew up and greeted Ash, because as someone who's probably a fan of the anime, you would first seeing this and after seeing Meg, you'd be like, wait, hold up, it's a Beautifly. And Beautifly is May's iconic Pokemon. It's the first one that she caught and raised all the way from a Wurmple.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that maybe I'm viewing this episode in a way where I think they could have done it so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like there are things that they added to the episode, whether it was just, a quick one or two lines um like bringing out the Munchlax
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't May's, whatever that other girl's name.
Hey,
Um
Kylie.
yeah, so bringing out her Munchlax and that like doing nothing for that scene or even getting to the plot of who stole the food.
Mm.
Just like little things like that, plus not doing the battle or not doing like the whole episode in the restaurant. I just feel like they could have
Mm-hmm.
taken the main idea of this episode and done it so much better.
Yes.
And
Um.
I don't think an episode like this could ever be like a 10 out of 10 episode. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's this type of episode. But I think if they were to have cut out some of the extra filler stuff, like it definitely could have been like a 7 out of 10.
I like that they incorporated the restaurant. The fact that they acknowledge it because they're at this location. I was like, oh, cool, that makes sense. But now putting it into context, I feel like they're just trying to put things together that really didn't need to be. And then they're like, oh, so Team Rocket on top of this, which just kind of made it fall apart. As we got halfway through the episodes, especially. So yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, but I'm happy to say that moving forward, the rest of the episodes in this arc, I say, are pretty strong. So
That's
I
good.
guess you need to have a low to get some high highs.
Yeah, they set you up real low so that you don't expect much, and then when they bring
Mhm.
whatever it is next, you get real excited, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Uh, but to wrap this up on a higher note, question of the week: which two Pokemon that May have has in this episode would you want to have on your tag battle team?
Glaceon for sure.
Mhm.
Before Sylveon, I'd say that is it Glaceon or Glaceon? I don't know.
Glaceon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that before Sylveon, Glaceon was my favorite
Mm-hmm.
evolution, even though I didn't play this gen.
Where did you
Um,
use Glaceon?
in X and Y.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
I
but I didn't really start liking Sylveon probably till Gen 8. So,
oh, interesting.
yeah, I was kind of late on the Sylveon hype train,
Gotcha.
but I'm there now.
You made it. You
But
found your way.
yes, but I think Glaceon's really cool. Um, let's see the other one of May's Pokemon. It'd have to be Blaziken. I'm sure that's like the easy go-to answer.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, other than that, all I saw was the Munchlax, right?
You also saw a Beautifly.
Beautiful. Oh well, You can forget about that.
I feel like she referenced one more. Oh yeah, no, just those four. Yeah. I would go with Munchlax and Glaceon. I think they're a cool combo.
Just because, like,
Uh,
you have the
huh.
Munchlax being rare.
It knows some interesting moves actually, which I don't think we get to see, but it really shows off with the potential of normal types. It knows Focus Punch, Solar Beam, Metronome, and I think one other move. But I thought it was kind of cool how in the previous season you kind of got to see Munchlax use all these moves, and in the game then I tried using it and I was like, oh, those moves suck on this Pokemon.
Yeah.
And Tackle is the last one, yeah.
Tackle.
But I was like, oh, that's so cool though that it can learn it. But I definitely just understand it's not great, especially compared to Snorlax necessarily. We get to see May's last two Pokemon also as this arc progresses, so you can look out for those as well. And let me know if you want to change your answers. I feel like you might, because I'm pretty sure one of the other two is actually high on your list of favorites.
Ooh, now you're getting me excited. Don't tell me there's a jinx. Um,
I won't
I'd,
acknowledge that, but people.
I would honestly be surprised if there is a jinx because she has the Glaceon.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it seems like from what we've seen so far, she has a pretty well-rounded team.
He
So
does,
it'd be
yeah.
interesting to see if she had like two ice types. But I guess we'll
Hmm.
find out.
The only Pokemon she doesn't have, I think, with her is Giddy.
Oh, that's back
Um,
at home.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this episode of Sights on Sinnoh for episode 22 of Battle Dimension. Simbacoil, Brady, thanks for coming on, as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Of course, and if people want to find you and get your hot takes on how everyone should have Jinx in the anime, where can they do that?
Oh man, you could follow me on Twitter. I don't actually post about Jinx enough on Twitter. Maybe I need to change that.
Oh no! Oh, what have I done?
But maybe people will also unfollow me, which I don't want. So I don't know.
Hey, I'm glad you acknowledge it. That's always the first step.
Well, it's always tough because
Mm.
I'm a fan of underdogs. I like people or teams or whatever that no one else likes, and so that's of course why I like Jinx. But then it's an uphill battle every time I try to bring in some Jinx love.
Maybe you should start them off with Smoochum and move from there.
I think most people do like Smoochum.
Right, and that's how you backdoor them into liking Jinx. You're like, oh, you like Smoochum, right? Don't you love its evolution?
I
Put some peer
guess
pressure on there.
maybe I need to do something like that.
Yeah, let us know. Keep us updated on that. And if you want to hear updates from me, I'm on Twitter at Will Be Teasing, Twitch as well sometimes. So check me out there. And if you want to watch these episodes of Pokemon TV, you can do that on mobile devices, desktop, and the Switch.
Yeah,
Have you?
that's new on the Switch.
Yeah, it's really fun. I was so excited when they announced it. Just gives me another way to view it and like not need a tablet if I'm like eating or something and just want to watch the show. But yeah, that's another option for you as well if you want to check it out. As always, feel free to answer our question of the week below in the comments, and we can check that out on the next episode. So, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. See you in Sinnoh.
Bye.